more than 2,000 years ago, according to the Gospel of Matthew, a group of wise men from the east followed a star to the birthplace of a king. It is one of the most familiar images in the world. And yet, hidden inside it is a genuine mystery, one that has occupied astronomers and historians for centuries. Because if we take the account seriously and ask what these men actually saw in the sky, we run into a strange and stubborn problem. No ordinary star behaves the way this one is said to have. The account itself is brief. It appears in only one of the 4 Gospels, the Gospel of Matthew, and nowhere else. It tells of Magi, wise men, who come from the east to Jerusalem, saying they have seen the star of a newborn king and have come to worship him. They follow it to Bethlehem, where it comes to rest over the place where the child lies. Simple enough, but the details, when examined closely, only deepen the puzzle. This is less a story to be retold than a case to be investigated. Consider the first clue. When the wise men arrive in Jerusalem and ask where the king has been born, King Herod is caught completely off guard. He has to gather his advisors. He has to ask the wise men in secret exactly when the star had appeared. If a brilliant new light had been blazing over the city for all to see, why would the king and everyone around him have failed to notice it? Here is our first real lead. Whatever the star was, it was not obvious to everyone. It was something only certain men watching the sky understood. So who were these men? The word we translate as wise men is Magi. They were not kings, as later legend would make them. They were most likely astronomers and astrologers from Babylon or Persia, members of a learned class who studied the night sky with great care. For them, the heavens were a text to be read. The slow movements of the planets, the risings of certain stars, all of it carried meaning. So when they spoke of a star, they were not speaking as poets. They were speaking as experts, describing something they had seen and interpreted. Which means the thing they saw was real enough to be measured, which brings us to the heart of the mystery. The Gospel says the star went before them and then came to rest, standing over the place where the child was. But stars do not do this. As one astronomer bluntly put it, you cannot follow a star from one city to another. Stars rise in the east and set in the west. They wheel overhead with the turning of the earth. They do not lead travelers down a road, and they certainly do not stop and hover over a single house. So either the account is purely symbolic, or the wise men saw something in the sky genuinely strange enough to explain it. And for centuries, the search has been on to name it. It has been a long investigation. More than 400 separate scholarly attempts have been made to identify the star, stretching back over 1,000 years. The suspects tend to fall into 3 groups: a rare alignment of planets, an exploding star, or a comet. Each one seems, at first, to fit, and each, on closer inspection, breaks down on a single stubborn detail. Let us take them one at a time. The first suspect is the most respected, the planetary conjunction. This idea goes back to the astronomer Johannes Kepler 4 centuries ago. In the year 7 before Christ, the planets Jupiter and Saturn drew close together, not once, but 3 times, in a rare event within the constellation of Pisces. To the trained eyes of Babylonian astrologers, this was rich with meaning. Jupiter was the planet of kings. Saturn was linked to the Jewish people. Their meeting could be read as the announcement of a royal birth in Israel. The symbolism is powerful. The timing fits. But there is a flaw. Two planets sitting near each other, however meaningful, are not a blazing star. They would not have stopped anyone in the street. There is a second, more dramatic conjunction. A few years later, the planets Jupiter and Venus, the two brightest points in the night sky after the moon, drew so close they would have appeared to merge into a single brilliant star. It happened near the star Regulus, whose very name means Little King. For an astrologer, the imagery could hardly be richer. But this suspect has an alibi problem. The event falls too late, after the date most historians believe King Herod had already died. And if Herod was already dead, he could never have met the wise men at all. The timing simply does not work, so the conjunctions carry the right meaning, but stumble on the evidence. The second suspect is far more spectacular. An exploding star, a nova, or a supernova. Such an event can bring a brilliant new light into the sky, where none existed before, blazing for weeks. It is a fitting image for the birth of a king, a new light kindled in the heavens. But this theory has a serious weakness. An explosion that bright would have been seen across the whole world. It should appear in the careful records of Chinese, Babylonian, and Roman astronomers who logged such events faithfully. And for the years in question, no such unmistakable record exists. The brightest suspect leaves no fingerprints, which leaves the third suspect, and the one that has always captured the imagination most. A comet. A comet is dramatic, and unlike a planet or an explosion, it moves. It travels across the sky, night after night, and can appear to hang above the horizon. In many ways, it is the closest match of all to a star that goes before you, and then seems to stop. And remarkably, there is a record. In the spring of 5 before Christ, Chinese astronomers noted a broom star, their term for a comet, appearing in the sky and lingering for many days. For a moment, it seems we may have found our answer. But the comet carries the heaviest objection of all. In the ancient world, comets were almost never seen as signs of blessing. They were read as omens of disaster, heralds of plague, war, and the death of kings. The historian Josephus wrote of a comet hanging over Jerusalem before its destruction. Why then would wise men follow such a sign of doom, not away from danger, but toward a newborn child to worship him? The most dramatic suspect carries the darkest reputation. And it too is left in doubt, and behind all three suspects stands that one unsolved problem, the one no candidate can fully explain. The star did not merely appear, it moved. It went before the travelers, and then it stopped and stood over one particular place. No planet does this. No exploding star does this. Even a comet, for all its motion, does not halt and hover above a single roof. The turning Earth carries every light across the sky and down to the horizon. Nothing simply stops. This single detail has defeated every theory ever proposed. And it is why some conclude the account was never meant to be read as astronomy at all. For there is another way to read the story. Not as a record of physics, but as a portrait painted in the language of the heavens. In the ancient world, the birth of a great figure was almost expected to be marked by a sign in the sky. To say that a star announced a king was to say something about who that king was, regardless of what precisely hung in the darkness overhead. The star, in this reading, is less a puzzle to be solved than a meaning to be understood. And yet, the astronomers keep looking, because the Magi, whoever they were, seem to have been real men. And real men, watching a real sky, saw something that sent them on a journey. So what did the wise men see? A meeting of planets, heavy with meaning, a new star flaring in the dark, a comet sweeping low across the horizon, or something that lives only in the language of the story itself. After more than 2,000 years and 400 attempts, the case remains open. Every suspect has a flaw. Every theory breaks on a single detail. The sky of that era was full of rare and wondrous things, and perhaps the truth is a blend of several of them, seen through the eyes of men trained to find meaning in the stars. The star that went before them and came to rest has never quite been found. And perhaps that is exactly why we are still looking up. If you'd like to keep searching with us through the places where history and scripture meet, subscribe and tell us which mystery we should uncover next.